Hey, I'm Stephanie Brown. I'm a real estate broker, mom, wife, and a serial entrepreneur. Welcome to It's More of a Guideline, a podcast where we talk about navigating the world of entrepreneurship, relationships, health and fitness, and whatever else may come up. It's honest, raw, and authentic. Hi, Rana.
Hi.
How's it going?
Great. I'm
Good.
excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. So pronounce your last name for me.
Hamadani.
Okay, because I think as long as we've known each other, I've never heard you say your last name out loud.
Oh my
So
God,
I've
that's
never
so
said it. Yeah. So you and I met because you started doing my lashes, right? You own a, what do you call it?
I call it a med spa and lash lounge.
Okay. Because originally, I mean, it was called the Lash Out Bar, right? And so, but now you've grown and added so many extra
Evolved,
services.
for sure,
yeah. So we're used to yapping.
Yeah,
But
I love it. I love our appointments.
I know. Do I need to lay down? And we can get like face to face.
It's so weird looking at you forward instead of like not from the
That's
back.
so funny. I won't snore today or anything. I hope. We'll see. But I usually
put you to sleep.
Yeah, we have like all of this yap time, like 20 minutes or so, and then I'll just
And then you take a nap.
and then I
do
start
my
snoring
thing.
and jumping and
You don't.
twitching.
You really maybe you jump, but you don't snore.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I feel like I snore, but so hopefully not today. So because when we do yap, we talk so much about business, and then obviously outside of that as well, we have lunches and texts and chats, and talk so much about running businesses. And even though your business is different than mine, they run very parallel.
So similar.
Yeah.
Especially
Especially in like the way that you run a team and building and growth and everything. So I thought it'd be cool for us to have a conversation about all of that, and then some other things that we talk about too.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, and one thing that I've really been impressed with you also is you will get an idea, like the idea that you got about like consulting other businesses and growth. And then you'll just like put it into place. And next thing you know, you have, well, it's type A, right?
It is.
Yeah. And so you'll put it into place and you'll have a website done and then you'll have a client and then you'll have like a whole program set. It's just so impressive. So, can you tell me a little bit about like how you decided to do that piece?
Yeah. So I think, well, if I go back to even before having an aesthetics place, I loved to coach women. Like even when I worked in corporate, I was an HR person. And during my lunch breaks, I would have these like young professionals that I really bonded with. And I'm like, I'll meet with you during lunch and I can just kind of guide you and do like a little career planning.
Mentoring.
And I was just kind of becoming a natural mentor. And even then when I went to aesthetic school, a lot of the younger girls were like, oh, teach me, hire me. And I just am naturally this person that people want to ask advice from. And I love that. And I kind of have learned over time to just lean into my strengths. Like, what are my natural gifts? And if I'm someone that people find inspiring or like motivating, then I want to lean into that because I love helping people. It's really rewarding. And not even like, I'm just so selfless. I want to help people. It's truly just like it feels good to be an expert and to be good at something.
Yeah.
You know, we all want that.
Right.
So, so I would have all these small business owners ask me for advice like throughout the years with Sage and Vine and like growing it. And I would give them all this advice for free. And then I'd be like, okay, you know, it's not even that I want to be paid for it. It's that I have like certain practices I'm doing now that other people can benefit from, and I want to share that somehow. Like, I don't want to coach people necessarily. I want to just be like, this tool works. Like, let me help you learn how to use this tool, and then you learn how to run your business yourself with a proven principle.
Right, because it's one thing to like share an abundance of how you do things or like how did you get started and share that time, but to share like your SOPs with people and your this is our manual and this is like all of that. Those are things that you should be paid for.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like those are the things like when I get a coach, I'm like, I don't need you to talk to me about how I can do it. Like that's nice sometimes.
Right.
I want you to give me a template. I want you to give me like a formula, a rule, a model. Yeah. Something that I can be like, oh, this is how I make that decision.
Right.
So that's what I'm really trying to do for people.
Yeah. It's almost like setting them up with like a franchise, but of their own, right? Because you've
Yes.
like given them every tool that they need. They just have to follow it.
Exactly. And I like to customize it for them. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'll talk to them about, well, how do you want to run your team? And what policies do you want to put in place? These are mine.
Right.
These work for me, but let's talk about where you're at. That doesn't make sense yet, you know? And then I'll kind of guide them on like what benefits they should offer, what perks, what incentives for their team. I really love working with women that have teams specifically. I was just thinking about that on my drive here, and I'm like, I love my industry, don't get me wrong, because I get to have fun and like make people feel pretty. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like it could have been an accounting firm. I think what I love is that I get to lead a team.
Yeah.
So that's where I get passionate, and like the part of the consulting business is I want to really work with people that have teams, because if you do it well, your business is successful. If you
Right.
don't do it well, you end up on your own.
Right.
So.
One thing that I've noticed that you do for your teams also is like because you do have a corporate background, you pour into them in ways that I think a lot of businesses, especially in your line of work, don't do, like 401k and insurance and things like that. How do you do that, running a small business and remaining profitable?
That's hard.
Yeah.
What the first thing I noticed when I left corporate and I went into this industry was it was just, I mean, you are really not treated that way at all. Like there's no perks, there's no PTO. I mean, I wasn't even being paid for meetings, and that blew my mind. I'm like, that's not even legal. But there is this like this sort of norm in this industry of like, every girl wants to get into this industry, so we can really make you do it. It's kind of like the entertainment industry where, you know, you can get paid peanuts, but just because you get to be around movie stars, you know, you'll take it. And so there is a little bit of this abuse factor. And I was like, no, I want to build a place that takes care of people so that they don't leave. One of the things in my corporate background and in my degree is like how much it costs to replace someone. And I always think about that. I'm like, you know, I want to think about keeping them, because when I keep them, I don't have to replace them constantly. That's expensive.
Right.
So the first thing I did when I really couldn't like qualify for like some of the benefits that you need to have a larger team for is I just did things that I could cover. So like adding the 1 hour massage for full-time employees. I mean, they loved that.
That's a great
like,
benefit.
Yeah. And I just like partnered with a friend of mine that had a massage place, and I was like, I will send all these people to you. Can you just give me a discount and bill me? And so they worked that out, and now they just go, they get their monthly massage, and they brag about that. Like it gives me so much marketing, because they're always telling people about how they get massages from work.
Right.
And then at some point I qualified for benefits, and I started looking into what that would cost me. I did the math, and again, to me, it's like, okay, that's taking from profit for sure, but I'm keeping my people.
Retention.
It's retention, So that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah. And I know we've touched on it a little bit before, but talk about the difference in what it's like to lead your team members who have been there long term versus your team members who are there from the beginning, your OGs.
Yeah. That's like the thing that I will say, like some things have really gotten easier naturally. And like that is the one thing that I still kind of struggle with. The OGs like really started when I had no rules. Like it was like, hey, this would be fun. Let's do
Anything
this.
goes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think so many business owners share that same story with me, where they're like, oh yeah, definitely. Like I am the most nervous around those people because, you know, I was their girlfriend essentially. And then I had to become their boss.
Right.
And while they would try to like get away with things that no longer worked and they were hurting the business, I had to like put on my big girl pants and confront them and say, and so it's still like a little bit intimidating. You know, I'm doing things all the time at the spas now that I roll out, and then new people are like, I love this. This is so fun. Oh, there's a team goal. We have to hit a certain amount to get not a prize, but like a bonus.
Yeah.
And they're all into it and they're excited about the updates. And then the OG girls are like, like,
here we go again.
Another new thing.
Right.
Like, everything has just gotten so formal. And so what I've been doing is I meet with them one-on-one, and like my conversations with them are really personal. It's just like, how is it going for you? How are you feeling about all these changes? I know it's a lot. And like, I just kind of like talk about the elephant in the room. And I've even gotten vulnerable with them. Like I've even told them like, hey, sometimes you're the hardest person for me to talk to. And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, because you've been through a lot of changes with me, and I really appreciate that you've been around for the ride, you know, but sometimes I worry that it's been a lot of change.
Right.
And I just like bring it up so that I don't have to think about it alone, you know?
Do you get transparent with them about your profit margin?
Yeah, I do. I've actually gotten transparent recently, Mainly because it's a hard time, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted them to understand, like, guys, I'm trying to balance keeping you happy and keeping the clients happy, but I also am dealing with something that a lot of small businesses deal with, and that is you have some years that are not profitable.
Yeah.
And I've also told them, like, this is what I'm supposed to be at. And I've shared that number with them, and I'm like, this is where I am at, we are at, you know? A lot of them really do think, like, the business owner just has millions of dollars.
Oh yeah. Well, so in good years, right? We drive our cars and we
Right.
go on our vacations and we
Yeah.
do our things, and then those years change, and we still have all of those expenses of the business because we built all of these expenses into it to add all these cool things.
Yes.
And then we can no longer pay for them, so then we have to cut all of those expenses. And I think
Exactly.
sometimes the only way to make that understood is to be transparent. There was like. Maybe not this past year, but the year before, like I had to sit down with my team and say, like, guys, I'm paying for this business out of our savings account, like my family savings account. And I can't sustain that.
And how did they respond or react?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately.
I think at the end of the day, like, that's one thing about being a small business is, like, you're still a human to them.
Yeah.
You know, and they do, at the end of the day, I think they do care. And they want the business to be successful, at least for the majority. So I think it's been helpful to be, but I do worry about, like, I don't want to stress them out. You know,
Right.
like, I don't want to be, like,
You don't want them to start looking for somewhere else.
Yeah,
like,
this
oh,
isn't stable.
what's happening here then? And where's this going to go?
Exactly.
And like, yeah. And then also, I know earlier on for me and my team, like, because it's your whole life and it's your lifestyle and you pour everything into it, those are really your only friends.
Yes.
And so it's so hard to manage people and lead people who are your friends.
And you don't have an outlet elsewhere.
No,
like, it's
and
so
so you have to
true.
have like one or two people that you are leading who really know the down and dirty and the nitty gritty of what you actually have going on.
I think that keeps me sane, and I really hate it when, like, mentors or other leaders will be like, you can't be friends with your employees.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a small business. I work with women. I have not figured
Same.
out how to not be friends with at least a couple of them, like, on a really personal level.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's just... I think it's just a natural thing. You know, there's some women that you're going to work with that you're just going to become friends with, and you can't just be
And I think, like, it works when they have such a work ethic and they respect what you're doing and you respect what they're doing, then it just becomes, like, normal conversation to be like, hey, we need to get this done. And you don't have to, like, micromanage them because they really, I mean, I've gravitated towards really hard workers as my friends. So it makes it easier.
Yes, and they want to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to help you.
Yeah, so it's like a natural.
Yeah. Have you experienced, I know that you have, I know 100% that you have, but women being on your team that you don't like personally?
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's hard.
It is.
That's
so
very hard.
hard.
And they can sometimes contribute in other ways that you're like, how do I get over this so I don't care for them personally?
It's like, I think this is the cycle for me because I'm type A. I'm definitely more of like facts versus feelings kind of thinker. And so, like, for me, the first thing that'll turn me off about someone is their work ethic is not what I thought it was going to be. And so I start having to, like, ride their ass a little bit, right? And they start to hate me for it. And then they start to tell everybody what a villain I am. And they create this little, like, microculture of people that are gossiping about how horrible this place is to be at. And they end up leaving on their own. I've really never had to fire. I've fired one person, and it was my best friend. So that would be a fun topic.
Oh my gosh, that's hard.
But really, I've not had to really fire. Okay, there was a second person, but other than that, they've all left, and they've left because they don't want to be held accountable.
And do they take someone else when they leave? Sometimes.
I feel like the little micro toxic culture. I think sometimes people out of that will end up following, but no, there hasn't been like a whole thing where a bunch of people left and started their own thing. But I've noticed, this is just like so annoying to me, they always block me. Like when they leave, they always block me. And I'm like, why do you go? It takes me months to figure it out. Someone will share something and I'm like, I can't see that. Yeah. And then I'm like, why did they go through the trouble of blocking me? Like, it's just funny to me. I just find that petty.
Yes. Maybe they don't want to see what you're doing. You know,
maybe
they don't want to see you thrive.
I guess. Maybe they're posting. I know you shared one thing with me that cracked me up. Like, you want to post bad things about me? I guess that's part of like running a business and getting a little bit bigger too.
It is.
Like you said that in a recent conversation I was listening to where, you know, you realize that like they are employees and some of them won't be around forever. And like, you just have to get less personal about it.
Yeah. And I think too, being, I guess it's a combination of being like a true entrepreneur, being type A, and being very ambitious. When you meet someone, no matter what their level ambition is, you can always see the potential in them. And so you hire based on that potential rather than you don't have like what they've shown you, right? Because they haven't worked for you yet. But then the minute they come on and you see, you're like,
the actual work ethic.
I got
that
snookered.
is so true. I literally do have like
snookered again.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you're like, you'll meet with someone, you're like, oh my gosh, you're like 23 years old. You live at home with your parents. You don't have any bills.
Yeah.
Like you come in here like blazing, ready to go. And then you don't show up for 2 weeks. Or whatever, or don't make the first meeting, or 10 minutes late, and you're just like,
And there's just these patterns, and it's like, that's not what I thought. Like, you're capable of so much more. I do get stuck with the whole, like, seeing people's potential and, like, being, I don't know, disappointed. Like, I don't know. You're right.
So originally, years ago, when that would happen, I would hang on to that potential that I could see, and I'd just be like, eventually, they're going to see that potential too, right? Because there were times in my life when I'm sure I had a ton of potential and other people could see it, but for whatever reason, I was distracted with other things. But like, as time goes on, you start to see those red flags early on, and you just give up on pouring into them earlier.
Yeah. I think that's a good growth goal for me, is to just like be more aware of the fact and like, I don't know, not like put rosy colored glasses on, because it does impact my business.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. And at the end of the day, you know, I'm the one that like during a bad year is carrying that, you know, the employees aren't really impacted. I basically put them all on salaries at this point. So they're comfortable.
Right.
And yeah, like I'm taking that hit. So I need to be a little bit more, I don't know. That's a good growth goal.
How did you go to that pay scale? Like, how did you make that
That's been a
move?
whole process. I've actually been working on that for months now. And
what was their input?
So in our industry, commission is kind of like, oddly, the desire. I don't know, like people are just used to it. So to tell them that they're going to be moved to like a set pay, the number in their head of what they're making, they do really weird math. So they go, oh, I make commission. I make 40% commission. And they go, oh, well, this is $100 and something service. I'm making $40 an hour. And it's like, but you're not, because first of all, it's not an hour-long service. Second of all, there's a lot of time in between that you're not booked for prepping, for whatever it is, for follow-up, for cleaning. And then it's like, what about the hours you're not booked at all?
Right.
And so really, I had to sit down with them and say, this is the 6-month history of what you've been making. That breaks down to this much per hour. And a lot of them were like devastated.
Yeah, because they're doing the math off potential as well, right? Not off of actual math. Yeah.
And so that's just been really interesting. I had to have this like, let's just real talk what you're making right now. And then what I did was I gave them all a little bump up to say, this is good faith for you to show I'm not screwing you. Right. But also because when you're here now, you're working. So in that downtime, you're going to be helping the business. So you're going to make more, but you're going to do more.
Yes. Yeah. You're going to be stocking whatever needs to be stocked, or checking the whatever.
So it's like now everybody's kind
instead
of like
curling your hair in the break room.
Oh my God, my nightmare memory.
Or whatever.
and the other thing is now I have a goal for everybody. And so there's like they're focused on something. So it's always one goal they can control, and then one goal is just the sales, right? Which they can't control as much.
Right.
But the goal they can control is like, it changes. It might be like Google reviews. Well, you can talk to your clients about getting us Google reviews, you know, and we hit a certain goal and everybody gets a reward if the whole team hits the goal. It's not individual.
That's smart.
So it's like, yes, there's downtime, but there's also something else they can be working towards.
Yeah.
I always tell them like the 2 things you do during downtime, you help and you learn. So that's it. Like you don't have any, there's no cleaning to do. There's no stocking. There's no nothing. Go take classes on our skincare products.
Right.
Because then you can talk about them. So,
and is there a benefit for them or a commission to upsell those skincare products, or
no?
Okay.
What we do is after 6 months, we do a wage review, and we
Okay.
look at how have they contributed to the business. And the business has to hit their profit goals for there to be money to give people raises. And so let's say the business was doing better over these 6 months. Well, now there's a little pot of money to give people raises. It's not given immediate, right? And you can really decide, okay, this person was a huge help in getting us these numbers. This person was helpful, but not like, and you can
Yeah.
kind of disperse the raises as you wish.
Right. And there's no animosity amongst the group about
I mean, they
who's
they
getting.
shouldn't know who's
Okay.
getting
Yeah. Yeah.
wage increases. I've told them all, I was like, this can get really ugly if you start talking about pay, because nobody is going to value what you do as much as
Yes.
you.
Right.
So
Right.
I just really try to be fair with them and how I evaluate, like, people who can do a lot of services get paid more than someone who can do
Sure.
only a few.
Yeah. Right.
People who can work fast get paid more.
Right.
People
right.
who naturally refer people to other services get paid more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think those conversations, like, I really have tried to warn them. We'll see if it ends up becoming like.
Yeah. Now, when people come in, do you try to encourage them to have regulars, or do you try to encourage them to just book those clients
Oh
to
my
come
gosh,
back
that's
whenever?
such a good question. I have like two conflicting thoughts on
Okay.
that. One
Okay.
is, I want your client to get on a regular schedule with you, because in our industry, and in probably any industry, pre-book is gold.
Sure.
Right? So if I can get you on a regular 2-week schedule, I don't have to worry about filling that spot. It's set. And it's also just less for my administrative team to like constantly be fitting people in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm a brand, and I don't want people attached to a specific artist or service
Because if they
provider.
leave,
Yes. And so one of the things on the marketing side is, hey, or just like client education, is we always tell them everyone here is trained the same way. So if I'm out, you're going to be in good hands. And you've even experienced that, when
Sure.
I get
Yeah.
sick or I have to be out. And so while I want people to have their regular, and honestly, I think people get better results when they have a regular, because we get to know that someone's skin or their lashes,
Yeah.
and like
Or
we can give them,
patterns and-
yeah, it's so we can do a better job, but we also leave, like, it's mandatory that they leave good notes on their clients, so that if I have to step in, I know exactly what was done.
Yeah, that's smart.
On the person. So it's honestly a mix of both, and it's probably best for the business that people do have a connection with someone, but they also understand that if things, like, if I need to switch to somebody, I can. I don't think I lose a lot of people when employees
Someone
leave me.
leaves. Yeah. Yeah. So I know, like, for us in my business, it's called like stepping out of production, and a lot of brokers and team leaders will have the idea that, we want to step out of production, which means we want to get to a point where our team is the one selling and we're just managing. And so over the last few years, I've done that. But now I'm getting back into production because we have not been as profitable, right? And so I know you are going through that as well, where you're like stepping out of production,
Yes.
if that's what it's called in your business.
Yeah.
So is there a fear for you that book of business will then go to those other lash artists? And then if you decide to go back into production, or will that not matter because you're...
Honestly, one thing I've realized is that I do make a lot more money for the business when I'm not in production. And I don't know if that stands true for everyone, but I am very type A. I have a lot of ideas. I move fast on them.
Right.
And when I was taking clients, I wasn't moving fast on my ideas. They
Yeah,
were just
because you're
sitting.
stuck sitting
Yeah.
6 inches away from someone's face, right?
Exactly. And things were like happening, like little fires.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to address them. And it was just to the point where I'm like, I just don't know that it's ever going to be worth it unless I have an amazing leader, like another manager I can put in charge. And that person would have to handle, it's like that unicorn of like marketing, operations, like
That's a tough position to
typically
fill.
those people are entrepreneurs.
Yes,
So
I know.
I still take clients for fun. Like when I'm back healthy, done with everything that I need to do for the next few months, I love it because it's friend time, and I don't have a lot of time for friend time.
Right.
But
yeah.
to go back to full days with clients, I hope I never have to do that again. I think I make more money teaching, to be honest, and I would just put up more classes.
Do that. Yeah. So let's go into that real quick, because you brought it up a little bit. So you're getting ready to have a double mastectomy.
Yeah. And it's a preventative.
Double mastectomy.
Yes.
And tell me, like what led you to that
Yeah.
and history and all of that.
Yeah. So, and
Because this is like so fascinating to
I
me.
hope other women hear this and
Yeah,
find
me
out that this is
too.
an option for
Yeah.
them. So my mom had breast cancer in her mid 40s, and it was just a shock because it wasn't something that we
So
had
young,
seen in our
too.
yeah, very young. She was healthy, and so because of that, I had to start getting scannings early on, like in my mid 30s. And as
Like
I started to do
mammograms
that,
or-
mammograms,
okay.
and I had implants already, so they were
Okay.
doing these 3D mammograms for me.
Over the
And
muscle, under the muscle?
over the muscle. Oh, my implants
yeah.
are under the muscle.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were doing these 3D mammograms, and that they were like, you have really dense tissue, so it was like this series over maybe 8 years or so of just constantly finding lumps, and they were nothing,
But you have to go back and
you have
get
to
them.
get biopsies,
Well,
and then
yes,
you have
what
to
a
get these
pain.
little tags so that they know we've already checked this one, and then over the course of those years, my mom's sister got breast cancer and two of my dad's sisters.
Wow.
So they started to tell me, hey, you'd qualify for genetic testing. And I was like, yeah, I mean, my mom didn't have the gene that she and her sister got tested, but I'm curious just because this has been like several lumps already. And I didn't have any genes that they know of, but I had a 40% risk of lifetime breast cancer.
Because of the history? Okay.
Yes, because of all the people in my family as well as my own dense tissue and my own history,
Okay.
right? So when they said that to me, I was like, that's a really high risk, and I just don't like those odds. So I started to ask about
Well, and
what
it's
are my
unpredictable timing,
Yes.
right? Okay.
And then the wildest thing is the last lump they found, it's not cancer, but it grows and it's growing really fast. And so it just like hurts me sometimes. And they
Oh.
recommended a removal for that.
Okay.
So that was when I said, well, if I'm going to have to get surgery for this removal, should I look into whether I can just have them completely removed? And they sent me to a specialist, and they were like, based on your risk, I can understand why you would want this, and I would support it, and we can fill out the paperwork to insurance to see if they would cover it. And we think they will. So they started to go through that process. It got approved. And one thing that I was like really happy about is because I'm doing it preventatively, my nipples can stay.
Yeah.
So
How long did it take to get that approval for your
I'd
insurance?
say, honestly, it was like an 8-month process. It took
Wow.
forever
Okay,
for me
so
to
a long
get
time.
because they prioritize people with cancer. So I really don't
Yeah.
think it was the approval. It was them just like going through the process.
Red tape.
And I'm on the back burner because I don't have an urgent, which is fine. But when I got approval, I was so excited. I was like, I'm doing this. I don't care what time of my life this falls in because the last time with this last lump, they said it is nothing. However, the odds of you continuing to get it's nothing like diagnosis are lower and lower as you get older. And I was like, yeah, and I just don't want to live in that fear.
Right.
So super interesting. They have like this whole process for saving your nipples.
Okay.
They have to do this like procedure where they separate them for like a month from the breast tissue to see if they will learn to survive just off of the skin.
Wow.
I know. So that's what I've been going through. And they've graduated and they're doing great.
They're doing yay nipples.
Yay! Yeah, so this
Oh my
coming Monday
gosh.
is yeah.
That's gonna have to be a clip where we go, yay nipples.
Yay,
That'll be.
nipples.
So
Yeah.
hold on. So you went in, they removed your nipples.
No, they kept them on, but they went underneath and did an incision.
Oh.
And then there's this like medicine you put on it to
Okay.
pump blood supply to them.
Okay.
So I had to do that 3 times a day.
Okay. So that was
And
your first
That was
phase
the first
one.
procedure.
Okay.
Honestly, not that painful. Loved the drugs.
Okay, yeah,
It was a
okay,
nice
okay.
break, a little vacation. But I went back to work within a few days.
Okay.
And just no lifting, no nothing like
Okay.
that. This next one, which is now going to be a month after that procedure, is going to be the big one, the double mastectomy. And
Okay.
they can't just put implants in immediately. They want to, again, give the nipples a chance to, like, be okay with all the change. It's all about the nipples.
Okay. Yes.
So they're putting in, what are they called? Expanders. And then they fill them over time. And once I'm happy with the size, then they'll replace them with silicone.
Wow.
And maybe even a little bit of body fat.
Okay.
To soften them. So I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. Just yeah. Uh-huh.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Right. So there's 2 more procedures. Okay.
yeah.
And the next one is
On Monday.
on Monday.
Yeah.
Which is why we're doing this today.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
5 days away.
Okay. And then the third,
The third one is kind of whenever I want.
it's okay.
So you can kind of sit with the expanders as long as you want, but they're not so pretty and they're not so comfortable. So as soon as I'm happy with the size, so that could take like 2 months, it could
Okay.
take 3 months.
They just fill them.
They said maybe we're looking at end of like I can get through summer and not have to like worry about surgeries, be
Yeah.
able
Now,
to
what
travel.
type of doctor is doing this?
So it's a combination. One is does like cosmetic reconstruction, and one is more the mastectomy person. So after this next one that's next week, it's just the reconstruction one that I work with. Mm-hmm. So she's so careful. Like she is on the most conservative side of things. I like her. Her name's Leslie Cohen, if anyone's in Richmond.
Okay.
But she's just really concerned, and she even had a talk with me. She brought me in one day just to tell me, look, I need you to understand they're not going to look as good as they do now. And like she showed me pictures, and she was like, I just need you to mentally get comfortable with, like, I'm going to work hard to get them to look good.
Yeah.
But there's no soft tissue around them. Like,
right.
That's why like moving the fat would be ideal.
Right. Where will they pull the fat from?
She could take it from anywhere.
Wow.
So I know. She was like, I don't even really need much. I just need a little bit just to like soften them. So thigh, stomach, anything.
Okay. All right. Well, that's ideal.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yes. She's like, maybe I should eat a couple cheeseburgers.
I asked her, I was like, yeah, how much weight do you want me to gain? Yeah. Because this could be fun for me.
Right.
She was like, I don't need that much. Don't overdo it.
Yeah. Don't overdo it. Oh my gosh. So you'll be completely done.
So this year I want to knock them all out. I would love to have the last one in September, and then this chapter will be closed, and I will never have to get a mammogram again.
Wow.
Ever. Like
Holy
the risk
cow.
becomes less than 1% chance.
That's insane.
So yeah.
Yeah, that is incredible. And very brave.
I'm so excited to be doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, just anything preventative we can do.
Yeah.
I want to get really into that. And this is the biggest one. Like breast cancer is such an issue for women. Mm-hmm. It's so common.
It really
it's
is.
1 in 3.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's really wild. Thank you for sharing that too. That's
I hope it helps someone.
Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. Me too. Okay, let me check my little notes because we had a little. So everyone that I've had on the podcast is like, "What are we talking about?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We're just gonna get in there. We're gonna talk about all the things that we talk about anyway." So let's see. Tell me how you use bingo every week to get things done.
This is my new obsession. I don't know if I'm a little crazy, but I tell people about it, and then like other type A people are so into it.
We do like bingo contests all the time in the office.
Yeah, I love a bingo. Yeah. That's how it started. Years ago, I would do that for my team, but now like I've gotten so sick of to-do lists. I create them and then I don't finish them.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
they become like just an overwhelming thing that hangs over your head.
Just lists everywhere. So one thing I did in the beginning of the year was someone mentioned a vision board bingo. And so I was like, oh, I love this idea because then I could see them in like one sheet, all my like visions for 2025. Yeah. And so I put in all these goals for the year, and I told myself, well, if these are big goals. Some of them are like profit related for the business. Some of them are my personal health and like working out, like an achievement, not just like, oh, I worked out, but like I consistently for a month worked out 3 times a week. That's on my bingo for the year. So I kind of came up with
you do it for a year?
I did one for the year. Okay. And that one I gave myself big rewards. So instead of just shopping willy-nilly, now I have to earn it. Okay. And I have to get a bingo to give myself. I know, but the rewards are big, right? So like $500 each time I get bingo. So I can really do like some damage. Yeah, or I can add it up and like save up.
Yeah, sure.
And then that led me to wanting to do a weekly bingo for my to-do list. So, and I give myself little rewards for that one. Yeah. So I'll just take everything I have to get done for the week and I write it randomly. I can't like do little tricks to get a bingo. Like I just write them randomly.
Yes.
And then I start working at it. And I'm like, okay, if I like randomly start completing things, where do I get a bingo? And like most of the time I'll get to the point where I'm like, I have 4 in this one right here. I need 1 more. So I'm going to get this thing done.
Yeah. Even if it's like the biggest pain on the whole list.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's just like gamified getting things done because it can be so monotonous sometimes to like fill out insurance paperwork.
Oh my gosh, I know. All the things that are like.
Little things,
yes.
Yeah. So now I've made it a game and it keeps me going.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I know we all the time talk about books. And I know you said you'd have to break out your list if we talked about books. But what, because we do talk about books so often and we've read, between the two of us, we've read literally every single book.
I feel like we have.
That's ever been written about business, self-growth, personal growth, anything in that business, anything in that genre we have read.
And they all start to sound the same after a while. Which
I know. I'm like, they're all the same same principles, right?
Which is kind of good.
Which I guess is like
but
ultimately,
it gets a little boring because like those books where you're like, oh my
that
gosh,
blow your mind books.
I love those books.
I
like,
know.
it
So tell
inspires
me like what maybe 1, 2, or 3 blow your mind books.
Okay, The Pumpkin Plan
Yes.
blew my mind. Traction blew my mind.
Yeah, Traction is a great one.
And
do you use like Trello board? Do you use Trello or
I've
any
tried
of that?
using
Yeah.
Trello.
Oh, we've tried using Trello a few
hasn't
times. And I
stuck.
get into it for a minute and then I'm just like, it feels like another task.
Yeah, I stick to Asana. Asana's like my favorite productivity tool. And then of course Slack for communication. But I try to leverage those two because I don't want to overwhelm my team with too many things.
Yeah.
And then Profit First. But that one blew my mind, but also depressed me. You know, 'cause it's so hard to get to. But it gave me a structure. Again, it was like, thank you for a template. Like, thank you for rules.
It is a great template.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say those were my 3.
Yeah.
Would you say different? Do you have another one?
No. I think that so the Miracle Morning was a game changer for me. And the first time I read it, it's like crack, right? Like the first time that you read it, the first one is the only one, and then you're always chasing that one after that. So I've read that book probably 45 times.
Oh my gosh.
Because I want that feeling from the first time.
Are you chasing that high?
I'm chasing that first crack hit, and I can't catch it. But
it was actually a year ago this month that I read it for the first time, and you and I and our other friend like did it together, and it was just the best month, the best high.
Yes, it is. And then you fall off, and then once you fall off of that, it's very difficult to get back on. But like when you can be on that game of those savers, it is really life-changing.
I know it is.
But there's nothing compared to like the first time that you read it and it blows your mind and you're like, holy crap.
Well, you did 75 hard.
Yes.
Was it similar for you, that high?
I've done it 3 times.
Okay.
I've only tried it 3 times and I've completed it 3 times.
Impressive.
It is very hard. That's why it's called 75 hard, obviously. But you know, there's no way to do 75 hard and not see extreme benefits at the end. So like if you're looking for something, if you need to lose 20 pounds and you can commit to do 75 hard, you will lose at least 20 pounds, just period. The 3rd time that I did it, I really hated it. I felt like it was causing me to be a little bit too overwhelmed. And I was doing it because my husband was doing it for the first time. And so not necessarily the right reasons. And so I was like really hating it. I was doing it. I stuck to it anyway.
Like that is a character trait.
It is. Like once I commit to something, I'm just all in. I'm not stopping. I don't care.
I will admit that's not me.
Yeah.
I quit things. Yeah. If it's not holding my attention anymore, I'm like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
And I hate that about myself.
I'm soft.
God, yes. And
I hate that when people say that. I'm like, it is not 75 soft.
I felt that way about Miracle Morning. I would tell people about it and they're like, well, I want to modify my Miracle Morning.
I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to journal because I hate to journal. It's like, no, you got to do all the things.
Trust the system. Trust the process.
Right. Yeah.
I want a little of that from you. Infuse that.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was a big one for me. Think and Grow Rich was a great one. Trying to think of those. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I have hundreds.
Have you read, this is on my list, Leaders Eat Last?
Let me look real quick. I don't think so, actually.
Okay, so that one interests me because it is talking about a concept I've been really into where you really kind of treat your people like they are more important than you.
Did we talk about this book? Or I feel like I've seen this. I have not read Leaders Eat Last, but I'll put it on my list.
That's on my list. And the 5 a.m. Club. Have you read that?
Yeah, I've read that.
Is that a good one?
It wasn't my favorite.
Okay.
I've listened to it on audiobook too, but I think it's definitely worth a read.
Okay. Well, I'm going to listen to a bunch of stuff while I'm
But
recovering.
I'm a 5 a.m. clubber anyway, so I don't need to be like convinced to.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm getting back into 5 a.m. club, like just waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm a happier person when I'm an early
Yes,
bird.
me too.
For sure.
Me too. I love that time in the morning, and then
quiet.
being done with the gym like before the sun's even out,
Yeah.
and knowing it feels like you've got a leg up on people who are still in bed.
Totally.
You know, you're like, I've already
That's
worked out.
gotta be our type A. I just feel like you can't be not type A and wake up at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. You also have to go to bed early. Like there's some
Absolutely.
sacrifices, you know. People are always like, I can't go to bed early. I'm like, well, that activity is based on what time you get up in the morning. So you just have to start getting up early. And then trust me, you will go to
be
bed.
tired.
Yeah, you will be able to go to sleep early.
When I'm waking up at 5 a.m., I 100% am in bed at 8:30.
Yeah, it's regulated by the time you get up, not by the time you go to bed.
It's so true because I'm like, I literally can't. I'm done.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to go.
There is nothing left. I know. By like 3 o'clock, you're like, all right, come on.
I remember when you told me that, and your D&D would go on at 8:30. I'm like, dang it, I had to get this message into
8 p.m.
8.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that too, that you shut the phone off
Yeah.
like an hour before you're going to go to sleep.
Yes, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. is plenty of time as a
Facts.
professional to be reached,
Yeah.
reachable.
And that's a good boundary. Like, I feel like entrepreneurs have a hard time with
7
boundaries.
days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come on.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last night I had a client who I'd been communicating with earlier in the evening. And then they reached out very late last night and was like, sorry, it's late. Can you hop on a call? But I did not even see it because my phone was turned over and off. And I woke up this morning and I saw it and I texted them back at 8 a.m. And I was like, just a reminder, like these are my hours and I'm happy to hop on a call now. And we did, and we straightened it all out. But
Okay,
I
good.
can't get in touch with my attorney or my doctor
Right,
at
exactly.
8:45, 9 p.m. at night.
It's so true. And I think people respect you less. Like, subconsciously, they respect you less when you are accessible
Just
all the time.
available, yeah.
Yeah, like,
right.
hey, I can get her anytime, so it's no big deal. Like, I can ask for anything. Whereas, no, I have certain hours. I love that you do that.
Yeah. Yes.
That's really good.
Yeah,
I need
I
to
have
do
to-
that with my team.
Yeah. I also my husband and I are on so many different directions because of the children's schedules and stuff. And so, I can't be on my phone and messing around or like watching a show on my phone separately at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Like we have to have time to see each other and speak.
You,
Even if it's still like barely,
So definitely at home, I am guilty. From my daughter and my boyfriend, they both tell me that I phub a lot, like phone snub.
Uh-huh.
So I constantly, they'll be like in the middle of talking to me, and I just pick up my phone.
Oh man,
I
I know
know!
I do that. I know I do that too.
So bad.
I know.
I really need
But
to work on that.
I think so. I really think that I'm good at multitasking. I know that I'm not because no one is, right? Because
Right.
we're not meant to multitask.
Right.
But it just seems like, yes, we can sit here and chat and I can go through my text messages. Why not?
I know. We all think we can do it. Like, I'm focused on you. Don't worry about it. And it's like, no, but you're not.
Yeah.
Like, your brain physically can't do that.
Yes. Or watching a show. Like you think you can sit there and watch a show and be on your phone at the same time, but you miss.
Clearly, you're missing stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I need to work on that. I've made so many goals out of this conversation.
Yes. Where's the bingo card?
I know. I'm going to add it.
I know.
I'll add it to my annual one.
I know. All right, let me see if I know we're coming up on time, but let me just check our little note system that we have.
I feel like we hit.
And see. Yep. This is kind of just throwing this out there. Do you have any creative things that are on your mind right now that you're coming up with or that you would want to share or that you're putting into place or thinking about putting into place or I mean, it's hard as like someone who's an entrepreneur and a creative, like I know we're constantly.
So I had an idea, and I don't know if this is like qualifies as creative. I feel like I'm so much more of an operational person, but I was driving and I was thinking about how I like the thing I said about like it could be an accounting firm.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if I actually like poured myself into my coaching, my consulting business and made it like went all in with social media, went all in with the website, went all in with finding other consultants, if I could actually make it a team thing.
Right.
And be something for small business female, like business owners who are females with teams and like really pop off with it.
Yeah.
It was a glimmer of an idea. And I was like, stop, because if I run that direction, my spa will suffer.
Yes.
But that was like, I definitely, like, you know when you have those ideas where you're like, ooh, but I felt a glimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those. So I'm going to put it on the back burner for now, and then like.
I know, because you can't do all the things.
No, I can't. But at some point, I truly believe my spa can run without me one day.
Yeah, it should.
And at that point, I would love to really find some other like consultants, and we are like a little firm that helps other small businesses.
Yes,
that would be really
I love
cool.
that idea. That is a very cool idea.
And then I can do that when I'm 70. I don't know that I want to be lash.
I know.
No offense, but I don't think I'm going to be your lash artist when I'm 70.
No,
but we can still get our lashes done. We just have to find a young girl that has the back to support it.
I'm sorry. I have been coughing, as you know, for like 6 weeks. So I apologize for, it's so gross. And then what was the other thing? Yeah, I know about trying to, I don't want to be out like opening lock boxes at 70 either. So it's like, which is one reason that we took, the team as a brokerage and moved under the umbrella as Real because of the, revenue share and the stocks. So that's like a built-in exit plan. For realtors, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, we all need an exit plan.
Yeah.
I don't really have
I hadn't had one until then, even though I'd thought about it, and I'm like, I mean, you just, as a realtor, you just sell houses until the day you die. And then
the money stops when you don't.
And then the money stops. And then this also, the revenue share is willable.
Oh, wow.
As well.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah. So.
That's very cool.
I know. Well, I really appreciate you coming here to chat today. And I'm really proud of you. Like, I love our conversations and, the nuggets that you give me to take away. And I'm really proud of you, like watching you grow your business and open a new location, all of that. So just before we end, just if you want to say like where people can find you, what kind of services can they get from you?
Thank you for the plug. Okay, so it's Sage and Vine Aesthetics, and we are in Midlothian and in Mechanicsville in the Richmond area. And we offer everything from, we're really well known for our lash work. I promise people healthy, natural looking lashes. We don't do anything that's going to damage people's lashes. Of course, we're great at brows, but then it goes into relaxing facials, more medical grade skincare journeys, transformations, and then it goes into lasers and injectables as well. So it's a full scale med spa. We have some medical professionals, and then a majority of us are estheticians.
Okay, cool. And GLP-1s and all that.
Oh, yeah. The weight loss thing
everything.
is huge. So we do that. We are really getting into like natural ways to improve collagen, because people are like, well, besides filler, what can we do?
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of that with PRP and even Sculptra is a great option. But there's
cool.
And I think the coolest thing, and just like one last thing I'll say about it, what I love about what we do is I don't want people to just go and like pick what they want to get. I want people to talk to someone that's all they do is think about treatments and like help give you, here's a game plan. Like, one little thing is not going to give you all the results you want, but if you combine this, and this based on your skin, your age, your lifestyle, that's what I love about what we do is like everything is customized. So
yeah, I love that.
Thank you for letting me talk about that.
Of course, anytime. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'm Stephanie Brown, a real estate broker, mom, wife, and serial entrepreneur. Find us wherever you listen to your podcast.